All right, for the last portfolio image editing demo, I want to talk about if you have images that are not raw images. Not the worst thing in the world, but they're not going to be as easy to work with as raw images. So I have two JPEGs that I actually saved these as JPEGs, but like, let's say that I made these on my camera phone, and they just happen to be JPEGs, PNGs, whatever file that your camera phone makes. If I click these and drag them into Photoshop, just like I did with a raw image, they are going to open directly into Photoshop. They are not going to open in Adobe Camera Raw because they're not raw files. They are JPEGs. They open right into Photoshop. That's why you would pick up the editing from right here with a little bit of a tweak. So these are, not raw images anymore. They're JPEGs, and I want to edit them. The first thing that I have to do is go to View, Proof Setup, and switch the proof setup on them. Now, I actually think that I already did this previously, but we'll just go and do it real quick. Internet Standard RGB. There they are, my two raw images. Or, I'm sorry, not raw images. And now I'm going to go and I want to edit them. So I'm going to go to Filter, Camera Raw Filter. So once again, to edit non-raw images, you're going to go to Filter, Camera Raw Filter. That's going to open something that looks just like Adobe Camera Raw, but you're actually you're putting a filter over the top of your image as opposed to editing raw data. So it is a little bit different, but you could go in and do these changes here, whites, blacks, all this stuff, right? You could do all this stuff. Temperature, tint. Notice that we're not starting at a place of 5,000 degrees Kelvin. We're starting at 0 because this isn't actual raw editing. When you're raw editing, you're actually changing the actual file. This is just putting a filter over. So you can warm your file up, you can cool your file down. Notice that these edits also they change the picture really quick because they're not as subtle as raw edits. But that's how you're going to have to edit your picture if they are not raw. Once you're done editing it in here, you're going to go OK, and it'll apply those changes to the JPEG. Now, here is an image that was drastically underexposed, and I'm going to bring it into the filter, camera raw filter, and see if we can kind of fix this up a little bit. So same thing, you can bring it up to plus or minus 3 stops of exposure. That brings a lot of information back. You're going to adjust the highlights. That brings some information. We're going to open the shadows a little bit. Nice. Whites, blacks. Essentially what I'm doing is I'm brightening this photo back up. Temperature, I actually think the temperature looked pretty good on this. That looks pretty good. So if I hit the backslash key, that's the key under delete. That's where this started. That's where this went. So this recovered a lot of data. Now, the last thing you ought to do in here too is, oh wait, you can't, can you crop in here? Look at that. You can't crop using the camera raw filter. That's a good thing to know. I would not have guessed that. Okay, so now you're going to hit OK. And we're going to crop in Photoshop. So I just did those raw edits. For those of you that are using raw files, you do your cropping in Adobe Camera Raw. If you have not raw files, you're going to do your cropping in Photoshop. So I just applied those edits to them. I set the color space in View. And now I'm going to grab the crop tool, which is the 5th tool from the top in the tools. And I'm going to drag this in. It works just like the crop tool in Adobe Camera Raw, where you can rotate and drag in to crop, something like that. I can hit return when I'm done. There's my image. Same thing here. Drag in the edge, drag in the edge, drag in the edge, and drag in the edge. Now I'm going to tighten it up a little bit. That looks good. Hit return when you're done. Then you can go in and do the clone stamp the spot heal brush to get rid of the magnets and anything else that might be distracting in the artwork that you want to remove. So essentially now the steps would be the same from resizing, saving, all of that stuff is all the same. But you're going to have to do your edits using the filter, camera raw filter, and you're going to have to do your cropping using the crop tool in Photoshop as opposed to Adobe Camera Raw. I'll just go and save these two real quick. This one's not fully edited, but let me just edit it real quick. Get rid of that thing. Get rid of that thing. I'm not doing the best job on this. You'd want to zoom in and make sure you're doing a better job if this was your artwork. Okay, let's say that's good enough. So now I'm going to go Image, image size, change the resolution first, then you're going to change the long edge to 2500 pixels, hit OK. Same thing here, image size, resolution first, width 2500, hit OK. Now I'm going to save these things. So I'm going to go File. You could go Save as a copy. You're going to call it fuzzy underscore. I'm just going to call it 100. Say this is my 100th one. I'm going to save it into edited images for the web. Make sure to save it as a JPEG. Hit save. Okay. That's pretty much it. So that's how to edit both using raw images and not raw images. Now, there was this image too on the camera. This image is going to give whoever made it a lot of problems because the camera was not at a 90-degree angle from the artwork. It was not parallel. The lens was not parallel to the artwork, and so we have a pretty massively distorted piece of artwork. If we grab the cropping tool, right, we can crop this image, but there's not going to be a way of cropping this where we're not losing a huge part of this artwork, this big corner up there, because it was taken at an angle, right? So when we put our artwork on the whiteboard and set up the camera on the tripod, we want to make sure that the camera is facing directly at a 90-degree angle to the artwork so that you're getting it as square as possible. There are ways to fix this, but it's way more advanced than we need. And it's going to be a lot more work than just moving the camera 3 inches to the right and making sure that it's at a 90-degree angle. So definitely make sure to avoid things like this. We can tell that this is not a rectangle. This is being distorted into a, what are these things called? Polyag? I don't remember what it is. You get my point though. All right, that's it. Let me know if you have any questions.